Okay.
Why, hello. Welcome to another edition of Deep Space Nine at 9ish. We're here talking about Season 3, Episode number 16, Profit Motive. This is a Ferengi episode. We are here to talk about everything to do with the rules of acquisition, the new rules of acquisition, and then the rules of acquisition that went away. But we're here to break it all down here with a great group of co-hosts. We have my brother. We'll bring him on in. Dave, how are you?
I'm doing well. Jeff, I heard from my aunt's cousin's friend's friend that you're not in contention for a podcast award, but who's to say?
From who?
It's really, I think it's what's really worth saying is like congrats to Dr. Henry Roger, the underdog no one saw coming.
Somebody watches this? Okay. That's right. Without further ado, we'll bring in our last duo, the tag team couple. Ding, ding, ding. The Millards. I don't. What do you guys think? Do you think I'm a good podcast host? Do you dispute this charge, these slanders, these liables against me?
I think you're a great podcast host. You just have to wait 40 or 50 years.
Of course. I mean, it's going to take some. My lobes need to grow.
That's right.
Okay, we
got the puffy taco is Jaemeel, Jeff.
He's watching from work. Jaemeel, prayer bow. We know you're here in spirit, sort of. You're here virtually. Welcome. Dave,
Jeff,
what do you want to talk about? What do you like? What in this episode? To me, okay, here's my quick breakdown of this episode. It's basically a giant metaphor for capitalism versus communism. Basically, the prophets convinced the Nagus to completely reverse his stance on basically Ferengi way of life and the rules of acquisition and gaining capital. Well, Jaemeel, your awful jersey isn't even being worn right now.
Just to acknowledge Jameel's comment, despite Jeff wearing that awful jersey, is an awesome host, especially when making theme songs. Well, there's mixed discourse around.
I'm the best theme song maker in the Live Long podcast community.
Well, you're the only one, really. I'm not.
Well, that's what makes me the best. Yeah, so that basically that's what I was saying before is that's my general. I think that's the metaphor for this episode is that the Nagus basically is convinced of a different way of thinking and decides to use his influence to maybe change his whole group of people, to basically throw down the old way of life and start a new way of life that is basically the opposite and is all about helping people and honesty and don't care about money. So that's kind of the basics of the episode. But Dave, what do you have to say about this episode?
It's a very interesting installment in Deep Space Nine. It's this episode that's the A storyline is featured on Quark and his sort of world, but also the B storyline's on Bashir. And so and those two storylines they have one crossover scene where basically Bashir's like, I don't think there's anything wrong with him, and he throws him in a sick bay. So it's kind of it's a really interesting episode. It's kind of like if Quark's entire world was crumbling, if he had to save the day, this is his hero story. If he was the Cisco, he is the Quark now to the Zach. Because I love when he goes into the wormhole finally, and he's like, "Huh? What's happening? Oh, I get it. You're the wormhole aliens." It's just like. It was kind of interesting to compare that to like Avery Brooks and Cisco in the pilot.
Yeah. All right. How about you? The tag team couple. You can one of you go at first. I don't care. You're a double-headed monster. What do you think about this episode.
I generally like the Ferengi episodes. This one falls a little flat. The only thing I really like about it is that the new ways are actually the old ways. This is how the Ferengi used to be. So they still build out some Ferengi stuff here in that we find out that the Ferengi haven't always been obsessed with profit, and they weren't. This is not the way they were in the
Before.
distant past. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Ashley,
like the Vulcans being violent in their past.
right, yeah. And they evolved and kind of how species evolve. Loving you're spitting the hot fire, Kevin. Over to Ashley. First takes on this episode.
I mean, this episode happens. I feel like if it never happened, it wouldn't affect anything on the station.
Yeah.
It's nothing really happens. Like, it's just some stories that kind of happen in the background. It's like it's like almost like a Lower Decks episode. We don't really get the main people. Like, it's just sort of there. I like it. Like, I will never complain about an episode with the Negus. I like him. It's not the best one he's in, but
Okay. For me, the Negus not a personal favorite. Also, Quark-centric episodes are either I find they're bad when they focus on the Ferengi. I like his episodes more when he has a character to bounce off of, like an Odo or a Worf or somebody like that. These episodes, I find this is like another remnants to me of the first and the second season, where they're still trying to like really convince us of like what the Ferengi are, who they are. We really don't know a lot other than what we've learned on TNG and a couple episodes really in this series. I mean, yes, we've learned about Quark, but the Ferengi as a whole and the Negus and everything that goes with that, I don't think they felt they had explained that enough to the general audience. Dave, what do you say to that?
They more than they ever did on TNG. Like the Ferengi start off a very different kind of a thing. They were kind of supposed to be like an antagonist at first, like kind of akin to the Romulans or another big threat, and then they kind of became this joke. And then they kind of got saved here in Deep Space Nine, but it was a long process, and I don't think even in this third season they had fully done all the work. Every time, a lot of the time when they do a Ferengi centered episode or a Quark centered episode, let's bring in Wallace Shawn. We're gonna bring in Zach, the Grand Negus, and they get Rom in the story, and no Nog in this case, but it's sort of their subcast or their subgroup within this bigger ensemble cast is kind of interesting when they do it, but I prefer the episodes without Wallace Shawn. Mostly. I think those actually stand.
What do you mean?
Quark, give me my beetle snuff.
Yeah, that's literally his voice.
I'm like, this guy made Millards doing this. Like, I'm like,
yeah. It's a hell of a voice. He did it through Princess Bride. He's been in a ton of different things where he literally, there's no acting. It's just, go be yourself. We'll put some makeup on you. Right? I mean, okay.
Just yell.
Well, I think the Ferengi episodes do get better as they go along, especially when they bring in Ishka.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes, Ishka, I think they have a lot more fun with than they do the Negus.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like Quark treats the Negus with too high of a regard for me to take this seriously. It's so silly because of the way the Negus is and the way he talks. The fact that Quark cares so much about what he thinks and cares about, and Rom doesn't really. He more cares about what Quark thinks. I find that an interesting dynamic, but at the same time, it gets old. What do you guys think?
Well, I feel like more Ferengi would treat the Negus like Quark treats him than Rom, because Rom is different. Rom is not your usual Ferengi. He's been, and this episode, I like him in this episode a lot because this is sort of the beginning of him becoming the better character that he eventually becomes.
Right.
But he's still Ferengi. He still
He-
embezzles.
Yes.
Right. Well,
And
he's got to
steals
stay.
from his brother.
Yes, but he's
True.
starting to stand up to Quark
Yes.
now, and
Yeah.
In retrospect, yeah, Rom shines a lot in this episode
yes, he's getting
compared
more from underneath Quark.
because he ends up becoming the Grand Nagus by the end of this show, which is so weird. Like because if you think that all these episodes would set up Quark becoming the successor, but it's not. It's Rom, and it's just I don't know, just like a little bit of like misdirect or subverting expectations, but. It's also kind of interesting here that like Rom's the one who ripped him off here in this episode, and Quark didn't even think to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quark's a traditionalist, and Rom is kind of a progressive.
Quark is a traditionalist, but also not a super fantastic businessman.
And Woodward's giving us the thumbs up, saying he's in.
But he thinks he is. Quark
He thinks he
he's
is,
yeah.
but he's not.
Right.
Like he wouldn't do a good job as the Negus.
No, probably not.
Even with his Tuliberry wine contract?
No.
Wow.
He'd fuck that up somehow. It's Quark.
But would Rom make a good Nagus?
I think Rom, if they're looking, if
No.
a traditional Negus, maybe not, but I think he would make a good Negus in bringing the Ferengi beyond what they are now.
Yeah,
Help
he seems like
bring
a
them-
controversial pick.
Yes.
Seems to have a dark horse candidate to come out. Like I'm sure the Ferengi public's like barely aware of who Quark is, and all of a sudden Rom is the new Grand Nagus by the season 7.
Well, Quark tells us that he's modeled his life after the Nagus. I mean, so yes, I agree that that's the whole joke, Dave, at the end that Rom gets it and Quark doesn't, because they set it up for like 6 seasons that Quark is the guy that wants this, that needs this. This is his whole purpose. This is what he wants. This is who he is. Rom just wants to have the Bajoran wife and, go fix
He wants
them
to get it
replicators.
made. He's like, why don't we all just love and have like? Why don't we? He kind of has a good philosophy. But
I
Adam
think
said the Ferengi.
Rom would have helped. Rom will help continue on the social changes that the Ferengi made over the next few seasons. Whereas if he had picked a traditional choice, they may have gone backwards. If Quark had gone in, they probably would go backwards in the social change that we see eventually.
Yeah, maybe it could have led to a civil war or something.
Yeah.
Seemed like it was pretty drastic reforms he was proposing.
Do we want to talk about the Bashir of this episode? There's not a lot.
No. It seemed kind of thrown in as filler rather than an actual B story.
It's not even really a story at all. It's
No.
basically like, hey,
Well,
Bashir.
According to my
almost
friend,
like
her
for a
friend
few
heard
minutes.
something from his cousin that his wife heard from the council, so that I think you might find interesting about this story, Jeff.
Okay, go ahead.
There's really nothing. According to my friend's friend, acceptance speech, something. I don't know.
Dave,
much.
according to your friend's friend, I don't know if you're the best co-host as a podcaster.
Well, I don't know.
I asked a
Yeah.
very simple question. I don't know what I got back.
Well, I don't know if you know that Rene Auberjonois he directed this episode.
You did, I know, and that's why I think
That's
this
a
episode is the way it
detail
is.
discovered by Dave.
I'm not saying that Rene Auberjonois is a bad director, but I think he wanted to tell one story and not two. And Star Trek episodes normally have two stories, and it's all about juggling them. And I think Rene Auberjonois, is this his first directing episode? I think it is. I don't think we've noticed him directing before.
We've never mentioned it, so
No,
probably
yeah,
first.
we've had Avery
No, I don't
Brooks.
think he has not directed before. So this is his
Did
first
he
time.
direct any after?
I don't actually know because
Yeah, that's a good question. Did they see this and went, you know what? You can't juggle two stories, so I think
think
we're
he
gonna
did- I
go with
think-
Avery on the next one.
I think he did direct.
LeVar
after
Burns
this.
coming in.
They
He probably
usually
did. He
don't
probably
give
did a
me
few
one
more. He
done.
probably did like 4 of them, I would imagine. But
See us,
yeah,
dir-
Yeah, I don't
I
care
mean-
about the Carrington.
I don't care about Bashir whining to
Yeah, he directed
Dax.
8. This was the first.
I
You
think
know,
I think they just put that in there kind of so everyone could have a turn making fun of him.
Yeah, I do think Rene Auberjonois wanted this episode for two specific reasons. One, it's a Quark-centered episode with very little Odo in it. And number two, it has Bashir getting dunked on by everybody pretty much throughout the episode. So I think Rene Auberjonois was like, sign me up.
Rene Auberjonois directed 8 episodes of Deep Space Nine, this one being the first. The next one was Family Business, which was a Quark-centered episode. Next one was Hippocratic Oath, a Bashir-centered episode.
Yeah, okay, Bashir. He likes those two people.
The one after that was The Quickening, a Bashir-centered episode.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was Let He Who Is Without Sin, which was a Bashir and Quark-centered episode, as well as Worf and Dax.
He likes those two characters. I'm spotting a trend.
Then the next one was Ferengi Love Songs. Also, as you can imagine, was featured the Ferengi and Wallace Shawn. Okay.
And the last one, Dave?
What was the last one? Sorry. To get back to it. Waltz.
Okay.
It's Waltz.
Waltz.
There's one more. Waltz, and then Strange Bedfellows.
Yeah. So.
Waltz is the one with Cisco and Duke out in the cave.
That one's a good one.
Okay.
So that's his one episode where he didn't do Bashir or Quark. Which is pretty funny.
Episode really is just it's Ducat's performance that really carries that episode.
Yeah, and it's also a very centered episode on that story.
Yeah.
Which I do think, again, Rene Auberjonois likes to do. And not his fault.
One big story rather than two.
Yeah, and I think when we do this with the Ferengi, I think it's a mistake. Because the Ferengi should be more integrated with the other characters and not be like on an island by themselves with the Negas and Rom sharing all the scenes. I personally think they made a mistake and they should have integrated them more with the rest of the cast better in these episodes. Because I think, like, for me, I'm not a big Ferengi fan. Like, I get it. I understand all the jokes they're telling. I understand all the metaphors, but I'm like, I get it, so it's not for me. Like, I want to go back and like, I got to watch Profit Motive, but that's what we did here on Deep Space Nine and Nine-ish. And that's why we're breaking it down. Dave.
Yes, I kind of with you. Like the most of the Quark stories are not my favorite stories. Obviously, Rene Auberjonois, even if he was like, this is not an Odo Quark story, he liked being involved. I think he liked working with Armin Shimmerman. Clearly, it's odd to me even more so that Alexander Siddig said he didn't really know Rene Auberjonois, but he clearly was directed by him quite a bit.
Yes,
and was a castmate of his for 7 years.
But I think they made a
had very little to say about it after he died. He's like when Rene Auberjonois died and they were on the panel, he's like, I don't know, I kind of knew him. How about over to you, Nana? He kind of threw it over. Nana, like, you knew him better. I'm like, you knew him.
He only directed episodes with you or Quark in it, so I'm sure you talked to him a few times.
He didn't seem to like, maybe he didn't like him too much, but I
do think that he was kind of the Patrick Stewart of the cast. He was kind of the guy that nobody could warm up to, like, unless it was like a Nana. Like, I don't think most of the other people kind of became like really close with Rene Auberjonois, from what I gather from like all their press and all their posts, like what you're referring to, Dave. I think he was kind of like a solo guy that kind of did his thing and kind of.
So was Avery Brooks, I think,
and so was Avery Brooks, but and the rest of them all hung out basically, right?
There were cliques on the Deep Space Nine set because I watched an interview with Michael Dorn, who was talking about going from TNG, where they literally were hanging out together all day long on set, to Deep Space Nine, where they do a scene and then all go off to their corners. And he was like, this is weird and I need to change this.
Right.
Because it was just a totally different thing.
Well, I mean, it is a different thing though, just in premise, because the other show was a ship, and the majority of the scenes are shot on the bridge for the most part. So the whole crew's there. Whereas on Deep Space Nine, like how much time do they really spend in ops? I mean, it's very little.
Probably
I
the
mean,
least. After the first 2 seasons, probably the least in ops.
yeah. And I think in ops, it's like that's the bridge, and that's where on a starship, that's where you would put everybody and have
But on
your
this
scenes.
show, they also have the Defiant Bridge, right? So it's kind of, and then and for Quark, he doesn't live in either of those places. He's from the bar, so the bar and the promenade. That's why the show is different. There's
I
a few
bet you
different
most of the show is probably shot at Quark's bar.
Yeah, a lot of it's the promenade.
Maybe not most of it, but the larger percentage of different places.
Or that area right outside of Quark's bar on the promenade.
Right.
Yeah, for
compared
sure.
to like
Odo's
how much do they go to? You think like 10 forward on the Enterprise, and and they have a similar dynamic, but there's no engineering for the station. So
they never show where like the power is really on Deep Space Nine. They show you kind of like there's these ore processing things, and they all lead to this one place where there's a big energy core that powers the whole station, is basically what they explain. But they never show us that, and they never show us O'Brien working on it whatsoever.
Every time he's working on power stuff or anything, trying to fix stuff, he's in the internal parts of the station. They're not. I guess they're not called Jeffries tubes. What are they called on Deep Space?
Jeffries tubes. And that, or he's getting hit on in said Jeffries tubes by Cardassian women. But that is neither here nor there, because that was last week's episode. Which
Jeff,
actually,
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that the Bashir storyline is actually my preferred part of this episode. I think it's stronger than the Quark storyline, and I especially like the scene with O'Brien and Bashir playing darts in the cargo bay. Yep. Why are they playing in the cargo bay? Not explained. But
no one knows.
No one knows. It doesn't matter. But they are. Of course, Bashir is either missing on purpose or not, because he's been nominated for this award. He's the youngest guy ever. It's supposed to be like a lifetime achievement award, and he's been nominated at the age of presumably like 30 or whatever he is at this point. Right? So he's way out of his league to win this award. But O'Brien's like, but the smart money is that you're not going to win. And he's kind of like he would have to be the biggest idiot in the world to not know he's coming off as a dick to a Bashir.
But he was doing it on purpose.
Right? Well, he was
trying to get him to miss. Yeah. And the thing is, Bashir, this is what proved to me that Bashir doesn't care whether or not he wins or loses at darts. All he cares about is that O'Brien listens to him bitch about some award he didn't get.
Yeah. But is he a worthy recipient of the Carrington?
The thing I found interesting was the way Alexander Siddig played it, knowing who Bashir is, like what his storyline becomes later on. The way he played it actually fits in really well with what's with him being like superhuman, basically, because he seemed worried.
Yeah, there's a lot of like little clues.
Out, like, oh my god, I'm the youngest one to be nominated for this thing. What if I get found out? The way it was played.
I agree, and he's not like you could if this is we're presuming this is true, because we don't know it yet on the show, but maybe Alexander Siddig was given a heads up, and he's like, hey, maybe use this in your performances.
Or it just managed to flow, like it just happened to work out. It was coincidence, but watching it, knowing his storyline, it was an interesting watch. But also still vain as shit, because at the end, of course, he's like, yeah, so I'm not handling it well. Yeah. It's like, I couldn't get top in my class on purpose, and now I don't get this award.
Yeah, I'm not a tennis star either.
I'm not a tennis star either, and I keep losing at darts.
Yeah, I think I could easily beat Miles at, if I closed my eyes.
Yeah. He's perfect losing at darts.
Yeah, well, I often like the Bashir B stories. I usually enjoy Alexander Siddig as a performer. I think he really carries the scene well. I see why he was considered for the role of Cisco, because he really does carry a scene well and carry a story well. In this, there's too much going on with the Ferengi, and there's like literally just it's basically Bashir and bitching and playing darts and crying to Dax, and like that's really what's going on with Bashir in this episode. It's good, I guess, to get to know Bashir a little bit better because we really don't know him as well as we know the other characters.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why they do it in the episodes like this. I think they did this on like TNG too. It's like, oh, who do we not know enough about? Inevitably, it was always Geordi. So they were like,
I mean, Bashir is the Geordie of Deep Space Nine.
he is.
You're so right
Always
too.
running
It
around
was
after the
always
girls.
Geordi.
It's like,
And
it's like, yeah, if we have
Either
like
Geordi
a
or Alexander.
he's
Or
got
Alex.
some if he practices in the holosuites or holodeck. It's
we don't really know enough about Geordi. Where are you from, Geordi? Who are your parents? What's going on? It's not funny. Leak. I'm not detecting any leak. Yeah. Cool it leak. Go, go, go. Go. We got a coolant leak in the engine war.
Geordie LaForge, how you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing?
Hey, fellas. I love that in that episode. I got to play them. Hey, fellas. What's going on here?
Hey, I didn't come here to give you weapons.
Yeah. Hey, you want me to fix this? I'll fix it. But you gotta let me go, fellas. This is how much this episode is not
All right.
grabbing my attention enough because I want to talk about Geordi LaForge.
all the other things. Yeah.
All the other things. Quark.
The fact that what was it? The Bashir was the Geordi LaForge of this
Yes,
show.
I agree. Actually, I dare I say it, we learned way more about Julian Bashir than we ever did about Geordi LaForge.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
Yes.
the Geordi LaForge got like 4 movies. DS9 got no movies.
It's true.
Geordi's blind. That's all we ever learn about him.
Geordi's blind. He went to Zephram Cochrane High School, and he's not
Oh, right.
detecting
His
any
mom
leaks.
was a Starfleet captain.
And he's not
Mom was
detecting
Starfleet
any
captain.
leaks.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah, he was
He's
born
his
on Mars or something, wasn't he?
he was born in the African Republic or something.
Yeah, African
In,
Republic. Yeah,
He lived
His
on
dad,
Mars.
maybe his dad
Something with
was
Mars.
his dad was a zoologist, a Starfleet zoologist. Because
that never comes up. He never goes, "Hey, my dad was a zoologist, so I know all about this." You know.
that'd be interesting to do that end of the story.
But we learned a lot about how much Cisco knows about making food in New Orleans.
Jambalaya.
Yeah, jambalaya.
Jambalaya. O'Brien can play the cello.
Yeah.
It's not usually useful
And
in
kayak.
most situations. He can kayak.
Yeah, he loves the
Kayak.
kayak. Yes.
and
play
play
darts.
darts and troll Bashir.
Yes.
Everybody, this episode though, everyone loves to troll Bashir. That's not just an O'Brien. Just O'Brien's better at it than anyone else.
Brian just knows. Yeah, he hangs out with him the most. He's like, I can't take this guy anymore. I gotta put him down.
I impressed myself on that one, actually.
Did you?
He rips on him like a best friend. That's just the male relationship.
Yeah, no, they basically like the whole. I love how the show explained their relationship. Basically, they hated each other. They went and got drunk, and they sang some songs, and now they're best friends.
Yes.
Yeah, Bashir annoyed him until he became his friend.
Right, and he tried to tell Kira that if I know you enough, you'll be my best friend, and he was right in real life, not on the show.
Yeah,
but in real life, yeah. I don't know where else to go. Where else should we go with this episode?
What about the scene when they're trying to figure out the book? I like this scene.
Okay, the book. Okay, the book where they're reading the rules, the new rules of acquisition with Zek, and we get he starts basically. It's the whole idea that the current rules of acquisition are filled with greed and basically basic evil, and they need to reverse this. And it basically breaks Quark's mind. Rom seems to like it, but he's like, he knows Quark's not going to like it.
Yeah.
Dave, what do you think
Yes.
about this new rule of acquisition? The first rule being, if they want their money back, give it to them.
Well, it's like Bizarro World, right? It's supposed to be like ludicrous to the Ferengi. It's supposed to be like these like never replace profit before friendship. They're like, what the hell is this? This is Latinum tarnishes, but families forever. But isn't that the opposite?
I love
of
all
the
those
old rules?
lines.
They're the
It's the
opposite.
exact opposite. It's basically from going from capitalism to communism. And I don't know, it's a great metaphor, but they don't really pull it off that well in this episode, in my opinion. They really should have evolved on that whole idea of what Zach was trying to do and the Negas were trying to do.
Well,
and really,
does Quark actually make a good argument to those prophets, or do they just get annoyed with him and send him back?
that's exactly what happens, Dave. They get annoyed with him. He basically says, look, if you don't just give me what I want, I'm going to make sure every Ferengi comes and bothers you here in the wormhole. And they're like, okay, we don't like you. So
And they're like, talking tires us out, so bye.
Yeah, so bye. And you go make your money. We don't really give that much of a shit.
They're fickle, those prophets. I gotta tell you.
Yeah.
They are fickle. Yeah. They don't really They don't really
They
seem to
know
have.
what's coming. It's fine.
They do. Do they know about the destiny, the 3 vipers and the comet? And did they know?
They already know because it happened already.
It already happened. Yeah,
they knew before it happened, and they knew after.
They're like the in the Matrix, they're agents. They know everything.
What do we think of Mayhardu in this episode?
Mayhardu, as played by Tiny Ron.
Not a fan.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't get this guy. Why is this guy always here? Whenever there's a Ferengi episode, this guy shows up, and I'm always like, why? Why does he need to be there? Like, what is going on?
Mr. Home of Deep Space Nine.
He's the Lurch of Deep Space Nine.
And this, I watching this, he's supposed to add some comic relief, but it
doesn't land. Maybe it doesn't date well. Maybe people in the 90s were really yucking it up. But I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't like these kinds of characters generally.
No, I'm not a big fan of Mr. Home either.
Yeah, they just why? He is the Mr. Home of Deep Space Nine.
Yeah. I don't like him. I never have. Don't really understand what he has to do with the Ferengi and why he's there. He just, again, he's supposed to be comic relief, like Kevin said, and they don't land. The jokes don't land very well. Like every now and then, you might giggle like a little bit, but yeah, I mean,
his like sobbing in the corner is just annoying, and
tough to watch.
That's,
I don't connect with him as a character at any point.
No,
at all.
His mimes. He's like a French mime. I'm over. I don't care.
Yeah. He's like,
no, I'm not. I don't come here for mimes. Okay, that's what I have to say.
Who's better, Mr. Home or him?
I'll take Lurch.
Well, Lurch at least talk.
Yeah, Home has the like ding.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, he doesn't have a ding. He doesn't have a bell.
No,
he
gets to talk when he was being impersonated by a. I didn't like that the wormhole alien spoke as his voice.
Yeah, that was weird.
Well, yeah.
Because then I know what he sounds like.
Okay, what do we think about the Odo Bashir scene where they're sitting down at the? I think it's like the promenade where he usually sits with Garrick, but instead it's Odo. Which is odd, by the way. These two never seem to ever sit down and talk about anything. So for the fact that they're doing this again, it's like the other episode with Odo and Cisco. It's like these two don't hang out and talk. What's going on?
Well, Odo was just coming over to mess with him.
Look at Odo's body language.
Yeah.
He doesn't cross his hands. Who is this person?
This is the obligatory. I'm directing this episode, but I'm also in this episode scene.
That's right. Yeah, that's why he's crossing the hands. Yeah, but
This
I
is-
don't know. I didn't
yeah.
really
I
get
don't
this
remember
this
this
scene. Like these two, I don't think work well in this scene together. I just it felt
No,
oddly placed. I
One
didn't
where
like it.
Odo is like, "Are you what? Well, if you don't think you're gonna win, why are you working on your acceptance speech? You didn't see that?
I guess I wasn't paying
Oh.
attention to this scene because I don't even remember this scene, and I literally just watched this episode like 3 hours ago.
Well,
You didn't miss much."
they didn't miss much. They talked about like some sort of Federation Medical Council and a friend there, and according to this friend, that she might have heard something.
That's not a great
Cousin
podcast,
that
yeah.
his wife heard from the council member that they might have thought you might have found this interesting. Does this sound like they were trying to fill
Yeah.
things? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They needed a scene with Odo in to just establish that he was in fact on the station.
That's right.
To let us
Here's
know
my
that
question.
everybody's life is still in danger.
Yeah, they're still yes, that's right. Someone could still get shot.
Dave, what's your question?
Wait, can we get to the fun facts?
Well, we can. I mean, yeah, do we?
Because I think I need something
Are you
in this
ready
episode
for
to cheer
some
me up.
fun facts? It's a double F with Jeff.
I feel like the Fun Facts theme song needs to be a little more fun.
No, that's fun. I'm laughing.
Dave's face is fun.
It brings fun.
reaction to
It
the
brings
song is
it
fun.
brings laughter and joy. What more do you want? Oh.
So much joy. Oh.
Too much. Heldor joy.
Okay.
Ugh.
All right. Got to get to the fun facts. One sec. What's going on here? Ready for some fun facts? Double F. F. Yeah. Okay. Profit motive. Okay. Directed by Rene Auberjonois. We have Michael Piller, Rick Berman, Gene Roddenberry. You know all the main cast. Okay. Fun facts. This is the first episode to be directed by Rene Auberjonois. We already mentioned that, but it's a fun fact, and we're going
It's
to
verified. Been confirmed.
confirmed. To recreate the same
We're
visual
facts
style.
confirmers.
To recreate the same visual style for Quark's scenes in the wormhole as had been seen in the pilot episode of Emissary, director Rene Auberjonois and director of photography Jonathan West went back to the original shooting method as developed by Emissary director David Carson and then director of photography Marvin Rush. As had Rush in the pilot, West overexposed the images and used diffusion filters to create the dazzling white, which seems to bleed onto the actors' faces. However, while wormhole footage, visual effects coordinator David Takamura used two versions of every shot, a slightly out of focus version and a clean version. He layered the clean version on top of the out of focus version to create an effect that is not quite out of focus, but is not quite in focus correctly either.
Okay.
Deal with that.
It's like-
Fun fact.
It's fun
It's
is not the word, but
Yeah, it's a
It's-
fact.
It's pretty fun. Okay. This is the only episode where My Hardu speaks. However, it is only when My Hardu is a representation of a prophet. So really, My Hardu didn't speak at all. It's all bullshit.
but if he
What do you-
did, that's what he would sound like.
Maybe. We don't know. Maybe that's what the prophets thought he sounded like. We don't know. Undetermined. The origins of the plot line involved Bashir's nomination for the Carantine Award are to be found in real life, with the plot actually being something of an in-joke. During its 7th year, The Next Generation was nominated for Best Dramatic Series at the Emmy Awards. Nobody gave it the slightest chance to win because, generally speaking, science fiction shows didn't win awards like that. Everyone expected NYPD Blue to win that year. However, despite the unlikely event of a victory, some members of the TNG team being convinced that they were actually going to win, as it turned out, they didn't. But neither did NYPD Blue. Instead, the award went to the unexpected Picket Fences.
Take that,
That's it.
NYPD Blue. You lose too. All the picket fences wins it all.
Picket fences, yeah.
The
Okay.
meek shall inherit the earth. That's the motto of that story.
Yeah, yeah. And the camel can't go through the eye of a needle. This is the first episode where the wormhole aliens refer to Cisco as the Cisco.
Oh,
But they also talk about the Zek.
Yeah.
Would you want to be the Jeff or do you want to be the Mater?
I don't want to be either.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll be the Mater.
I'm sure you will. Dave, reference number 10, rule of acquisition. Do you remember what it was?
Rule 10? Greed is dead.
Greed is eternal. Close. It's easy to get them mixed up. Profit motive is the first Star Trek episode to mention Andorra, the homeworld of the Andorian species. They never mentioned Andorra before. And even isn't Andorians from like the original series?
Yep.
Yeah, but they're not in the original series much.
They're in a few episodes, but I guess they never mentioned Andorra.
The original series didn't really establish a lot of backstory of aliens.
true.
It
They
just
were like,
had aliens.
Kirk needs to kiss some women and punch some guys in the face. So
Yeah.
we don't have
And
time for that.
When I was the Andorian ambassador the other day, I was like, we are a violent race, but what do we gain from attacking Captain Kirk?
They don't even really start to build up the Klingons till the movies, really.
Yeah, and I
like,
don't. Yeah,
like Kronos and all that. Not until the movies.
yeah.
This is the first on-screen appearance of O'Brien and Bashir's much-used dartboard. Why it's in the cargo bay, nobody knows, and nobody ever will know.
Because they haven't asked Quark to put it in the bar yet.
Because Quark is busy dealing with that.
And they're embarrassed by their gameplay, and they don't want to be in front of people yet.
Bashir is embarrassed. He knows he could do much better.
Yeah.
A scene will come where they ask Quark to put it in the bar.
Is
He
there a
wouldn't-
scene where they do that?
Yes,
He wouldn't want anybody to see him lose at darts and lose the Carrington in one day.
that's right.
No, that would maybe break his spirit forever. Okay, one
He's
of the
losing at darts
nominees
on
for the
purpose.
one of the nominees for the Carrington Award is Henri Roget of the Central Hospital of Altair 4. This is a clear wink to the classic science fiction movie Forbidden Planet from 1956. One of the influences of the original Star Trek. In Forbidden Planet, Earth cruiser C-57-D lands on Altair 4.
Henry Roger.
Henri Roger. Okay. The origins of the telepay for this episode are to be found in Ira Steven Bear's early career. When he was trying to make it in Hollywood, he wrote a telepay for the TV show Taxi entitled Uncle Sylvester to try and demonstrate his writing abilities. The plot revolved around Sylvester, uncle to the main character, Louis. Sylvester had built up a reputation for being a shameless womanizer and an altogether unpleasant individual, and he was Louis's hero. Louis was dying to meet him to impress him with his own womanizing abilities, but when Sylvester arrives, he no longer enjoys womanizing and now just wants to get back with his wife. Louis is heartbroken and becomes convinced that Sylvester had undergone some kind of deep psychological trauma. The telepay was not purchased by the producers of Taxi.
Okay.
Okay. I didn't know Ira Steven Bear was writing for a show like Taxi. I thought that show was much older than him. Okay. William N. Stape, who concocted the TNG episode Homeward, was an uncredited story source for this episode.
William Stape, you say?
Yes. Besides Benjamin Sisko, Quark is the only non-emissary main character of the show's main cast to successfully make contact with the Bajoran prophets and live to tell the tale.
Did you know that Stape, the person you just mentioned, he has in 2015 he published his first Star Trek book, which was called Star Trek Sex, analyzing the most sexually charged episodes of the original series.
So all of them? Yeah, so all of them. Okay.
The most.
This takes place in 2371. Bashir is the youngest of the candidates for the Carrington Prize of 2371. The others are April Wade, Senva, Henri Roger, and Guy Petrel.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. Quark remarks that an empty bottle found in Rom's quarters that contained Aldebaran. How do you say this?
Aldebaran.
Aldebaran
whiskey from his private stock.
Scotty
In Star Trek: The Next Generation's Relics, Scotty receives a bottle of Aldebaran whiskey from Data in 10-4. Aldebaran.
Aldebaran.
He later learned was given to Guinan or Guinan.
Yes, it's what
We
Picard likes to drink
have
too.
to do that episode so Jeff can say Aldebaran.
Aldebaran, he has to be Scotty.
I don't like Aldebaran. Okay, and last two. For a brief time, a new set of rules of acquisition replaces the old ones. Some of the new rules are: number 1, if they want their money back, give it to them. Number 10, greed is dead. Number 21, never place profit before friendship. Number 22, latinum tarnishes, but family is forever. Number 23, money can never replace dignity. And number 285, a good deed is its own reward.
You're not gonna like it.
Finally, when the wormhole alien in the form of Cisco says that Zek was trying to find out who wins the game before the game begins. It is a reference to the pilot episode of Deep Space Nine Emissary, where Cisco teaches the aliens about linear time by using the example of the baseball game.
Right.
And that is it for Double FHF. I hope
Okay.
you were ready for all the fun facts.
Oh, we need an outro now.
With Aldebaran whiskey.
Well, I think it's well, we need like no, it's Aldebaran.
I think we're all going to say it Aldebaran now.
No, it's not Aldebaran. So, let's talk about the ratings. Time for some ratings with Dave. Here we go. All right, Jeff.
Are you ready for some ratings with Jeff? I give this a 6.2.
Give this a 3.5. Jaemeel, if you're around anywhere in the world, send us a rating, but he has not so far. Ashley?
4.
3.
Kevin? Average is at a 4.2. This has a.
I don't even like it as much. Can I change my score?
Yes.
I'm gonna make it a 5.
Jaemeel, again, if you want to help bring this up, it's now at 3.9. This is now bottom feeder episode territory.
It is, though.
It is a bottom feeder episode.
Let's just.
The only part I really, really like about this is when he licks the book and then goes, "No, that isn't it."
And then Bashir and O'Brien playing darts.
And that was okay.
But it's like 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Like
I know.
there's a
It's
lot
not
of Negus. There's a lot of Quark and Rom, and
Like, it's fine. I don't think it's the worst episode.
no. But
Look,
it's-
our last 3 bad episodes were directed by Rene Bergenois, Jonathan Frakes, and Avery Brooks. So just think about that.
Wait till they get LeVar Burton on the show, and then the show will start to pick up steam.
Yeah, he does good. He does some good episodes.
Yeah, him and Rene Echeverria.
Yeah, get some Rene Echeverria in here. Anyway, that's the ratings. And next week, Jeff, we have Visionary coming.
What's
Please
that?
be a
One?
good
Is
one.
that? Let me guess. It's a Bajoran episode.
No, it's a O'Brien episode.
Oh, what's he doing?
Suffering.
He's having visions of going back in time and going ahead in time and stuff. And there's Romulans or something.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I remember
Is
this.
this the one where the O'Brien we end up with isn't the real O'Brien?
No.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
it's like O'Brien, like 8 seconds different.
It's like O'Brien from 6 hours ago.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I thought you were talking about the one where he's got the clone.
No, where it's Blade Runner?
No, I mean where the rest of the O'Brien, like O'Brien for the rest of the series, is not the original O'Brien.
Like how Harry Kim's replaced by the duplicate
Yes.
Harry
Right.
Kim. Did that come through?
Did what come through?
The duplicate Harry Kim.
How I
Oh,
said like he's like the duplicate of Harry
Yeah.
Kim.
Yep.
Oh,
We
good.
got it.
Okay.
We got it, Dave. Don't worry.
2 times now, even.
2 times. We got it.
And
Here on
then
D6 9 at 9ish, we don't
But
let
what-
anything slip past
But
us.
which one is the original now?
We don't know.
It doesn't matter. As long as he believes that Keiko is the most wonderful woman in the universe.
And he loves his
And
parents.
he loves his parents. He loved his parents as if they're dead. I loved my parents.
I have to create a new board.
I loved
Okay.
my parents.
Yeah, you loved them. Are they dead? I don't believe they were dead at the time.
Maybe.
Maybe he believed he was dead. He was like, I'm going to Cardassian prison. I love them, but now I don't because I have to be this. I have to suffer. I'm Miles O'Brien and I suffer. I go to Cardassian prisons. I go to different sand prisons. I figure out a way to get into prison some way, somehow. Kira, you want to go to prison? I'll go to prison with you. It's like, it's kind of what he does.
You
And he's
just
like,
gotta
all right.
pretend to be a prostitute, and we'll get in.
Yeah.
Do you want to go try and, arrest some Irish syndicate guys?
Oh my God, I hate that episode.
You might go to prison.
I can't wait until we talk about that episode.
Well,
Dave.
Is
Oh, Dave's gone. See, all right. This is the perfect time to ask Dave. What do we have coming up here on Live Long and Podcast and all of our Superman Bros podcasting establishments? You don't say. That's great, Dave. We'll let all the people watching the show today know where to find all the shows here on Live Long and Podcast and Superman Bros podcasting. Thank you. Okay.
You can't find out until he's back.
He has to turn it off.
He has to turn it off, but he doesn't know that I didn't just do it.
There's Wednesday night, there's Saturday night, there's Sunday. There's all sorts of stuff.
There's the
all
TED
today.
Trek tomorrow. There's the radio theater. No big deal. Steve Shives. We got him on.
Just subscribe. You'll get a notification.
Yeah, subscribe, hit the bell.
It's a TNG episode on Saturday.
You'll be one of the OGs of Live Long and Podcast. You want to get in on this. This is a one-time offer of subscribing to us and getting unlimited content every week that you may or may not want. But we're going to give it to you anyway, because that's what we do here on Live Long and Podcast. Dave seems to be gone, but we can't turn. Oh, yeah, we can't turn this off until I guess he comes back. So I guess we're done, but we're not.
If our friends subscribe, we can promise to do absolutely nothing for them.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah. Tell all your friends about Live Long and Podcast, and especially Deep Space Nine at 9ish. You don't really need to know about the other shows because this one is the one you want to watch. It's Tuesdays at 9ish. And you want to come on to and just join us. Watch the random episode. We tell you here the Tuesday before, go watch Visionary or whatever the hell it was. I think it's season 3, episode 17. So go do that. Come back next week, Tuesday. And, type in the comments. The Puffy Taco will be waiting. Adam Woodward. There's many others. But that's really what you want to do.
I'll be in the comments next week.
Tag team couple. Do you guys anything to say about what's going on here at Tuesdays 9 at 9ish and the empire we are building here?
It's great, I guess.
It's
good. Dave's back.
Yeah.
Or is he?
I'm making my return on Sunday to Trivial Debates.
Yes, Trivial Debates. We didn't even mention
First time
Trivial
in a long
Debates.
time.
Jody is hosting. We have Jaemeel, Adam, and Kevin competing.
That's right.
Dave, we've already done all the plugs, all the
Right.
you know, we got her done. So
Saturday night, I make my return as William T. Riker.
yeah, William T. Riker. You got the Ashley's
What's
coming
I
happening?
back.
get to drive Gisborne.
I know, I saw that.
Dave, everything's been plugged. Nothing needed from you.
To turn it off.
Except to turn it off.
We've been stuck.
Yeah, we've been stuck, kind of just, yeah, here it is.
Yeah,
Oh, Jeff, we got a thing coming up.
Oh, I get to play LaForge playing a mandolin.
Yeah.
How do you beat that?
Yes,
Who's
I
War?
get to smash it.
Ah, yeah, all right.
Yeah, we got some interesting things going on here. So check that out Saturday night. And then also we have on Trivial Debates this Sunday, Jeff.
Yeah, we were talking about it.
Yep.
We
I
plugged it.
wasn't here.
Yeah, well, I mean, snooze, you lose.
Oh, fuck.
So for all of us here at D16, join us next week. Remember, watch Visionary or whatever it is, season 3, episode 17. We'll be talking all about it. O'Brien, is it the real O'Brien? Who knows? Come back next week. Live long and podcast.